Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is season 15, and this is episode 2, and this is called hold on, I got you. Bearing it all. And before we get into this episode, yes, I'm so late for this review, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not as interested in this season of Beverly Hills as I am with the other shows. Right now, truthfully, the best show to me at this rate that I'm mostly engaged in is Real Housewives of Potomac, believe it or not. Salt Lake City, it was great, but then now that we're still just stuck on this playing situation, it's just starting to falter for me. I'm still engaged. I'm still interested. It just honestly though, it's not as good as it was last season. Last season was chef's kiss. And Beverly Hills to me at this point is just kind of there. And I think part of it is I feel like most of this cast is phoning it in. I'm not as engaged as I would like to be. Like, I like Rachel Zoe so far this season. So far, I love her dry sense of humor, but it's very dry. So if you're someone who's not really into dry sense of humor, you're not going to find her funny. And I think that's part of the problem is there's really no one on this show that's funny. I feel like in every single franchise, we have someone that's kind of just funny. And to me, Rachel Zoe is kind of the only one that's somewhat bringing it. And then so far, Amanda, I don't know how I feel about her yet. I do like that she's younger. She's actually a year younger than me. But other than that, I'm kind of just not really, I haven't seen enough of her to get an opinion yet, if that makes any sense. But anyways, I'm not going to, this review, I promise this time it won't be long. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. So we start the show where we're at Rachel's house and Bose actually goes and pays her a visit. Before that, she's actually talking to her kids because I think her kids are going away to camp or something like that because it's the summer. And then they go to sit outside and we actually hear them two bond about how they really hit it off initially and that, and they really like each other. Rachel says that she's kind of the opposite of Bose when it comes to how they approach things, but she actually really loves and respects her so far. And so immediately we talk more about Rachel's divorce, and we talk mainly about, did she ever catch her ex out there, kind of like how they were talking about PK, being out there with another woman, and same thing with like Mo. And she's like, actually, yes, I did. And then we see footage of the Daily Mail. And she was like, since it was in the Daily Mail, people just kind of brushed over it. And I get why, because the Daily Mail, of all the media sources, has not really been the most accurate at times. So she's like, yeah, they kind of brushed over it. And then from there, they kind of talk about Kyle. Bose has his bone with Kyle and she will not let it go. She wants to get Kyle to open up. And I think she thinks her approach is going to work differently. But honestly, this was very simple. Kyle just is not someone who opens up easily. That's just her. But she's just, I guess really the whole thing is she's really, really kind of just trying to figure out, is Kyle really dating someone? And because the way Kyle hesitates when she answered the question last week. And of course, we're going to be talking about this again. This is going to be like a never-ending thing until we get her with the actual answer. But she's like, if Kyle is going to open up and be a little bit more warm towards me, then that's fine. But if not, okay, we're just acquaintances. But I'll be honest with you. I think what Bo's definition of what warm is not necessarily accurate. Just because I don't open up with you doesn't mean that I'm not a warm person. It just means I don't know you. So I kind of am getting that vibe from Kyle, but that's just me. And maybe, because Bose is used to women who are word vomiting, what's going on with them. And really, you're talking to a lot of women who are going through some major stuff right now. Kyle is too, but that's not everyone handles conflict that way. And that's not me just trying to like, I'm not really trying to be on Kyle's side. I just actually, I'm kind of, I just get it. It makes sense to me. And it just seems to me that, I don't know. And maybe because I do not necessarily love bows. Maybe that's why I have kind of a little bit of a strong opinion on it, because it's just kind of like, who are you to like question if someone's opening up or not? That seems kind of odd. But is Bose maybe accurate about it? Yeah, probably, because I feel like Garcelle said the same thing about Kyle, and same thing with Crystal. I think others have said this about Kyle before, so it's not like this is really necessarily incorrect. It's just I'm kind of trying to understand why Bose is just constantly fixated on this, but maybe that's just part of her storyline. Anyway, they kind of talk that over, and that's that on this scene. So the next, speaking of Kyle, we actually do see Kyle, and she actually goes and pays Mauricio a visit at the new house. We find out that he left the high rise that he was renting, and actually this house that they're in right now, he's in right now, he's renting that. And she, states in her confessional, it just seems like, that they would have a conversation before this happens, because it's not bringing them any closer to any resolve. And I mean, I don't think there will be a resolve. Honestly, when it comes to Kyle and Mauricio, I think they're going to stay the way they are. I can totally see them never really truly getting a divorce. Now, if they are to get a divorce, I would think Mo would be the one who initiates it. I don't think Kyle will ever be the one who does it. I think Mo would initiate it. But at this moment, I don't see it right now, because it doesn't seem like either of them are really serious with anyone right now. And so it is what it is. So Mo, of course, then asks Kyle if she's dating anyone, and she's being kind of coy about it. And she's clearly annoyed and doesn't want to talk about if she's dating anyone. And they talk about them from there. If she is dating someone, it's okay. And then from there, they kind of talk about the PK and Dorit of it all, and how Kyle's basically talks to Mo. She's like, I feel like she's putting all this blame on PK, but we don't know PK's side of the story. And honestly, this is going to sound very unpopular. I think both Kyle and Dorit are both right or wrong about this situation, because the reason why I'm saying this review is not going to be long is this is just a regurgitation of everything that we were talking about last season when it comes to the Dorit and Kyle situation. So we're going to actually skip to where we get to the problem again. So later on the episode, Dorit and Kyle, they kind of get into it without completely getting into it, because Kyle disengaged, mainly because PK and Dorit's separation / divorce is not going smoothly. It's actually not amicable at all. So it's the opposite of how things are going when it comes to Mo and Kyle, because Kyle and Mo are not actually going through a divorce. They're just separated. That's the difference. And Kyle is definitely the type of person where she has a tough time putting herself in someone else's shoes. And so she's just not really seeing and understanding that there's still residual issues between you and Dorit. So you showing off and just being there and not really, trying to think of how to say this. You are, I guess, I'm trying to think of a way to say it where, because Kyle is trying to see both sides of the situation. That's what I'm trying to get at. But at this moment, where you're in the group full of your girlfriends, that's not what Dorit needs right now. And she's crying and everything, so this is not what she needs. And that's what I don't understand from Kyle, why she can't see that at this moment. At another moment in time, sure, be transparent, say how you feel, say what it is, and all that. Like when you are in a one-on-one place and you guys are in a good spot. But if you guys are just talking through your girlfriends and she's crying and being vulnerable, now's not the time to be like, kind of, you know, apparent, like, come off like he would never do this type of thing. I guess is kind of what I'm getting at. Because you, Kyle, understand and know that you guys are not in the best headspace right now. So that's kind of the thing where I'm saying they're both right, they're both wrong. If Kyle was in a better headspace for Dorit would receive the message differently because really, essentially, after Dorit calmed down a little bit, um, Bose pretty much suggested, Amanda, a lot of the women suggested a very similar thing when it came to the Florida situation. So what took place was she was talking about how she's taking her kids to Florida to like spend time with her parents because at this point in time, Jagger wants to see her grandfather because she views Jagger views the grandfather more like as his dad more than PK, who's actually his dad. And so PK is trying to basically assert his power in this and say, no, I'm coming down too. And all the women pretty much essentially said, call his bluff. He's not going to step up. If he really is that kind of a man that you're, putting out there, he's not going to step up. So call his bluff and just do what you originally planned on doing. And once everyone kind of reasons her out, she, of course, agrees with the rest of the women. But the way Kyle positioned it and the way she stated it, I could see how Dorit would be offended and feel away because she just kind of didn't really let Dorit finish her venting. And I think she also wanted Dorit also wanted Kyle to say, you know what, that's messed up. And she didn't really do all that. She basically took on, she's still pretty much siding, she's still trying to be neutral. And Dorit has made it clear to you, Kyle, that for you two as friends to move forward when it comes to this separation/divorce, you can't be neutral with her. And I don't understand why Kyle doesn't understand that. And if it's a problem, then that's going to be a problem. And I think from Kyle's position, that's going to be a problem. And that's really, now that we say that even more, I'm side-eyeing Kyle more than I would be sighing Dorit. Dorit, I'm not really sighing at all because I know she's going through this divorce, so it makes sense. But this pretty much is what happens towards the end of the episode. I know I skipped ahead, but I just kind of wanted to wrap the Dorit and Kyle situation in the bow because it is a regurgitation of what we talked about last season, which is partially why I'm just not invested in the show right now because a lot of this is just regurgitating old storyline. Anyway, next. So then next, we actually do have a scene where, hold on. I think I was going to skip ahead by accident. Let me get to where I was at, child. Okay, so we actually have this scene with Erica and Sutton. Erica is at this spa, and Sutton meets her at the spa too, and they're basically having a spa day. They both kind of state in the confessional how they've came a long way, and this is quite surprising that they're hanging out together. And Erica states in her confessional, this is the olive branch, and hopefully this works out. And they talk about Dorit a little bit and how she's going through things. And Sutton's just like, I feel bad for her. And honestly, do I believe Sutton and everything she's saying? Yes. To a certain degree. But also too, I feel like she also doesn't really care for Dorit. So it makes it tough for me to really truly trust Sutton when it comes to this. I feel like Sutton's in her best behavior because she has no friends on the show and she has to do what she has to do in order to stay on the show. So she is going to be a little bit more softer when it comes to some of the women on the show, including Erica. And then they go from this to talking about, well, Erica's in better, you must be in a better place now. You must be over your situation. Erica then finally vents. And I guess for me, when it comes to Erica, what she's saying here, this is what we wanted from Erica like probably 3 or 4 seasons ago, and now she's finally giving us her being vulnerable. And I don't understand why now she finally, number one, she finally calls these people the victims because they are the victims. She would never admit it prior to before. Now she's finally doing that. And she's finally not completely coming off as completely self absorbed about the situation. Which, again, all these things we needed and wanted from her 3 seasons ago. And so I think, this scene would have hit differently if we would have gotten this from her before. But that's kind of what the scene was. Okay, so then next we have a brief scene with Dorit, and this is when she's talking to her parents about the arrangements to have, Jagger stay with them because Jagger is basically having a tough time with this divorce. That's what we find out here. I kind of stated the conclusion of it. I know we went in a random order, but that's pretty much what happened here. Next, we actually have a scene with Kyle. And I will say this, I am actually enjoying Kyle this season for the most part because she actually has somewhat of a storyline with her daughters her daughter getting married. And I do like the dynamic and seeing her with her daughters. So, anyway, so her and her daughters meet up at this shop where they have pretty much all these different dishes. And when I mean dishes, like, like Chinaware, like, flatware, all the things, like when it comes to glassware, like all the kitchenware specifically for like weddings. And we find out that this is a place that everyone in the family goes to. So, all the richer family pretty much has went to, and this is a tradition. And so they're going there, they're looking at stuff. And Kathy normally would have went with them, but Kathy was out of town, so we didn't see Kathy at all this episode. But Sutton does end up joining them. And Sutton's outfit, she literally is matching some of the china that they were by. And then from there, as they are, walking and talking, we actually find out that the place that Sutton was staying at, when Sutton was staying at Kyle's house while her place was getting renovated, Kyle has since sold that house, and that's where we find out that's where the newbie Amanda lives at. And so this actually ushers in Amanda. Amanda ends up meeting them at this place because she herself is also getting married. And so, hey girl, hey, we meet Amanda. And Amanda, she is getting married on October 10th of 2026. We find out she met her fiance just in West Hollywood, and they're just all gagged by it. And then she does kind of give a backstory stating that she is like most known as an author. She wrote this book called Rich as F. Of course, it's not F, but like that's the book that she wrote. And she's all about manifesting things and, how to manifest. And they call her like the money queen. And so then we also find out here that Jennifer Tilly is going to be throwing a boho chic party. And so this is going to be the event that all the women are getting ready to go to. Also, I forgot, in this scene, we also did find out that she's originally from Oklahoma. And then from there, the next scene, though, is a scene with Bose and her daughter. And in this scene, we find out that Bo's daughter wants Keely to ask if whenever the engagement happens, because we do find out later on, I mean, currently she is engaged to Keely, but the daughter wants Keely to reach out to her for her blessings if she's the dad. And so that's pretty much what happens here in this scene. It was a very short scene with this. And I guess this is the other thing with Bose that I'm just kind of not really, I'm kind of just like whatever about, is I feel like we're not really getting much personal story. For her to be one of the only women on this show that is in a relationship, I'm just kind of not really, I'm just, I'm not invested in what she has going on. And I don't know what that is or why that is, but I'm just not. Anyway, moving on. So then next we have the ladies are getting ready for Jennifer Tilly's party. We see Erica and Glam. We find out that there's going to be art going on here, and Erica's like, "Yeah, I'm not good at this." And then we also see Rachel getting ready, and then we also see Dorit getting ready. And then next, the actual scene, then we are at Jennifer's house and she's talking to the party planner, trying to get everything together. Erica arrives first. Fast forward. Erica arrives first, then Rachel, then Kyle, then Bose, then Sutton. And then we find out that Amanda is essentially coming because Sutton invited her. And then last but not least, Dorit shows up. She says hi to everyone but Kyle. And, Kyle's like, "Hi, Dorit." And she's like, "By the way, this is Amanda. She's new to the group." And then Dorit's like, "Oh, hi." And then this is when we find out that Amanda has 4 children. 2 of them are her actual children. And then the other 2 are her soon to be stepchildren because, her soon to be husband has 2 children of his own. And Bose was kind of weird about this. And she said something kind of shady in the confessional. She was like, because she basically said she was a mom. And it's like, Bose, you don't really know this lady or the dynamic of the relationship of things for you to may have this kind of opinion, but okay. Because she was like, "I would never want another woman to call my kids mom." And that's not even what she said, so it's kind of weird. Um, and also too, we don't even know how young the children are, so it was just kind of a weird comment to me. And then also, I guess Amanda could have said "I'm a mother. I have my own children. That I have 2 children I gave birth to, and I'm a bonus mom of 2." Maybe she could have said like that, and it would have been nice and fine. But again, maybe the stepchildren would have felt a way about that. You don't know the dynamic. You don't even know what even happened with is the mom even in the picture? These are things she doesn't even know, and she just threw an assumption out there kind of out of nowhere, and that was kind of odd. But anyway, other than that, let's go into the art of it all. So the highlight of this episode for me was actually the surprise that Jennifer had, which was the men. They're drawing penises. So all the men just dropped their trowels and they're drawing penises. And there was one gentleman who was arching more than I could ever arch. It was giving Beyonce's Partition the way he was arching his back. And I was like, what in the hell? And then to read her confessional, she tries to reenact it. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I think I pulled my back out. I think I pulled my back." So that was a highlight, and the women got a good chuckle out of that. And then from there, we then go in back, after the art thing's over with. I think Rachel ended up winning the contest. Um, Kyle, Jennifer asked Kyle if she's dating anyone again. And Kyle, again, is just being weird about it. Like, "No, I'm not dating anyone." She states how she's getting annoyed later on in this episode about how everyone's asking about it. It's just like, well, Kyle, you did this to yourself 2 seasons ago. I don't understand why she's so obtuse about it. It's really annoying. That's the thing that gets my nerves when it comes to Kyle the most. And then from there, the Dorit and Kyle of it all kind of happens. And we're not going to regurgitate that because I already talked about it. Moving on. Last but not least, we then actually get into Kyle and Erica. And this is where Kyle actually then does finally open up to really what's going on. She truly is single. But what is tricky for her, the reason why she doesn't really want to talk, is because at one point in time, in between the separation of it all, she actually wasn't single. But we already knew that. She pretty much said that last season without saying it. And so I don't understand why it's such a struggle for her to talk about it openly especially now that her and that person are no longer together. She could talk about how she's in a relationship and just say that that person chooses to keep it quiet. That's all she could have done, and that would have been it. Yes, we would assume who it was, but that's your fault for putting it out there initially. Like, you're the one that were thrusting the scissoring in her face. That's what you did. So I don't understand. I don't get Kyle when it comes to that situation. But she basically states, if it was up to me and me only, I would have opened up, but I couldn't. Which we already knew that because she stated that last season. Anyway, that does conclude this review. I told you this was going to be a really, really short review. I feel bad it's this short, but like I said, we are regurgitating a lot of last season. And for me to continue to review this show, full transparency, I'm going to need more to be happening. And for those who did not see my last video and, are wondering why I'm not on the camera, and maybe this might also explain my tone a little bit. I am full transparency. My seasonal depression right now is kicking my ass. I am not really in the best mental state right now. I'm not, don't worry about me. I'm cool. And I will be okay. But the winter is wintering me. The lack of sunlight is already a problem. And it just is what it is. I'm going to try to do the things I need to do to make myself feel better. Like I've already kind of planned on my gym routine for tomorrow. I think I actually am going to start going on dates again, even though I don't really want to date. But I think I just need to do that in order to kind of keep myself occupied for now. I think that wouldn't be necessarily the worst idea. And then I think I might actually splurge at some point in time, maybe early next year, and give myself a spa day just to, keep my mind at ease. But anyway, that does conclude this review. And hopefully, if you're going through what I'm going through, trust me, you're not alone. That is the crux of living in the Midwest, especially Chicago. The summers are the best places to be. The winters are tough, but it basically turns a coal into a diamond every single time. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of my reviews I have this week. Hopefully tomorrow I will have the energy and bandwidth to go on camera. If not, you already know why. But I'm going to try to continue to review these shows and try to be as optimistic as I can. But just today and even yesterday, I cannot fake the funk. Like, I can't pretend I'm all good. But we're going to soldier through it as a family. But anyway, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.